Welcome to Full Scope, a podcast with two guys in their 20s, giving their perspective on the games that we love and the story behind it all. I'm your host, Wellington Burns, along with my counterpart, Savon Morris. How's it going?
It's going
How's your
pretty good, man.
How was your Christmas?
It was pretty good. Didn't get anything, but no, I was expected. But it was just enjoying family and friends, man. It was always good.
That's how it is when you get older. You don't get much.
Exactly. You don't get much. Just Merry Christmas.
Exactly. Well, we have a lot of topics to get into tonight, as usual. And to start it off, John Wall, it was announced yesterday that he's having a season-ending heel surgery, and in the midst of one of the Wizards' most disappointing seasons in recent years, the last week when they kind of felt as though there may be some semblance of concern was when he only had a 1 point performance against Cleveland. And then he revealed that he's been playing through a bone spur in his right heel. But then a week later, he had a 40-point 14 performance against the Lakers. And then after that, four subpar performances and then two DNP. So it's after the great performance, he went back to kind of underperforming. And then now they're in a situation where, look, he already is in a pretty under a pretty lucrative contract, and it was going to be very hard to trade him. But now with this injury, it's even with the surgery, it's even more harder. Bradley Beal is still an option for the summer, but they're kind of in a hard place right now with getting Trevor Reeves, and they're currently 2-5 with him. But what are your thoughts on the announcement and also how this really alters the Wizards season?
I think it's a blessing in disguise. I know that's not what you want to hear after a guy having a season-ending injury like we saw last year with DeMarcus Cousins. But just given the trade talks and trying to get him out of there, trying to find a solution for their terrible season, a terrible couple of seasons. They haven't found that niche. You lose a couple of guys like Gerson Taught to the Clippers. So he's just trying to find an identity in what direction these guys want to go into. Now John Wall is out 6 to 8 months. Now you figure out who's going to step up on your basketball team. Will Otto Porter step up? Will the other guys step up when you don't have to trade? And then it's another question: does this take down his trade
Trade value.
value
Yeah.
or his off season value when his contract is up? Now that is not a small injury to come back from, especially here. I think it's close to the Achilles, to be honest, and the ACL and MCL. So it's a blessing in disguise, but also okay. Will teams try to get him after the injury or release him or try to trade him? But to try to find something, now your
Mm-hmm.
star point guard is out. What can you do as an organization to try to get yourself out of this funk? And they have no interest. And to be honest, I don't have an answer for them. That's the crazy part of all about this. I don't have an answer for you. You guys don't see how to answer.
You go through the
Then
entire
Wellington
thesis.
has.
You go through the entire thesis and like, you know what, Wizards, I don't have an answer for you.
I
I
don't,
mean, you
but
can
that's
tank,
the
you
crazy.
can try to get a top 5 pick, but I don't think they're going to want to do that. Especially with when the fact that you've got Bradley Beal, you've got Otto Porter Jr. and the East is still weak. But and remember the thing, like when Wall was out, it was the everybody eats mantra. Like that was the thing. Like there's more ball movement. Like the assist rate is up, but he still is one of the best guards in the East, even with all those deficiencies with the chemistry.
Yeah, true. So
I mean, at least I think so.
I think so too. But it's just like, um, and these guys, they don't seem to have any. I think they're lacking chemistry. They're lacking the backcourt. They're lacking a lot of things. And John Wall's not 100% healthy. He's your best. So how you lose him? It's so much going on in the organization. I don't know what's going on. You want to trade Otto, you want to trade Val, you want to trade John, you want to go get a first round pick. I feel like you might get that the top 10 draft lottery pick. Let's cross our fingers because you're going to need it. Give me something. Something. The biggest trade value just went down for the season. So I don't have an answer.
Yeah, and the Another question for me, which is like it's kind of been like covered now since he's had the surgery, is the durability, because he's played a total of 73 games in the last 2 years, which is the least amount he's played in a single season in the last 4 years. And he's going to make an average of 42.3 million over the next 4 years. And to me, this is a team that doesn't really have any real direction or structure. And when you have a guard like this who's kind of who's consistency in terms of being on the floor is depreciating, I think like that's the biggest concern. Do you think it's they're going to get to a point kind of this summer where they may just have to be like trading Beal is the best starting point for us to kind of try to find some direction?
I totally agree, because now it was John, but teams are going to be hesitant because of the injury, because of the durability, just an all around a negative effect on his career right now.
Yeah.
But Bradley Beal is the next man up to try to get something going for it, get some role players, get some type of players, and expect John Wall to come back. I feel like there is going to be to a point where they get fed up with their best player and ship him off. But they can't now. They can't. They have to wait to 6 to 8 months and then 3 to 5 months after that to make sure he's healthy enough to ship him out. I think it's to a point where the organization needs to find a new head guy. John Wall is not the head guy anymore. I don't think they want him to be the head guy anymore. That's why the trade rumors were there. But Bradley Beal is definitely the next guy up. I think Otto fits their system. I think he loves Washington, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Bradley Beal would be a guy, an expendable piece that you can move around to try to find some role players, because they need something. They need a spark, just one spark. Oh, they need some young guys like the Boston Celtics did last year when their big time guys were hurt. Gordon Hayward and Kyrie Irving, those guys found a way to be.
Yeah,
but they don't.
But the Celtics, they have this treasure chest of assets, and they've been able to accumulate it over years. It's like I feel like the Celtics are kind of like a different case story, because they've just been building up for years, and now like it's all like coming together with the young players that they've been able to get.
Excuse my pun, but it's the luck of the Irish.
Exactly.
No,
that was too easy. Transitioning to the Lakers, they've lost 2 straight, and they this past Friday night they lost to the Clippers 118-107, and the Clippers went on a 22-0 second half run. And Montrezl Harrell had a pretty good game, and really the star of the night was Lou Williams, scoring 23 of 36 points in the second half to give the Lakers their 5th loss in the last 70 games. So Kuzma, he had a really good game against Sacramento, 33 points, 5 points in the last minute, but Bogdanovic is able to hit the game winner, which that is one of, if you looked at the video with the announcers, Savon, one of the most dramatic game winners you'll see in a while in terms of the announcers' reaction. It just the actually looking at their reaction was even almost more entertaining than the game winner. But them being able to them struggling currently and trying to find some some consistency offensively. What are you seeing with their struggles? And obviously Rondo, with the announcement of him being out a month with the injured right hand.
Your leader and your field general is out. They do say it's minor, so hopefully he comes back the next couple of games, because they're going to definitely need his presence on the court. But it's to a point where they're back in the square one. Adding, they have some old heads there, but it's not a clear-cut general on the court without LeBron James. Brandon Ingram is not that guy. Lonzo Ball is not that guy. They're missing a presence, a present force. LeBron James is like Steph Curry. He makes the team better. When he's not on the court, then it's one-dimensional. But when LeBron James is on the court, he can do multiple things to make his team better.
Would you start a franchise with Steph? Would you start a franchise with Steph?
I would definitely start a franchise with Steph. At first, I wouldn't. But I recognize that
you've actually grown in terms of your acceptance of him being like, because at first I remember the time we were talking about Damian Lillard and Steph, and you're like, nah, I'll take Damian Lillard over Steph. And now you're like, hey, I'll put a franchise around Steph. It's kind of changed. Because
I was so focused on his shooting terrors that when he's on, he's streaky, but he can finish at the rim. It's not like he can't finish at the rim. It's not like he can't put the ball down, but I was so focused on his 3 points abilities where I like a point guard who's both. And he has great eyes. He knows how to find his guys, know how to run plays. So I would definitely start a team around Steph Curry. That'd be the dumbest thing ever. I'm like, no, I won't take Steph. But the only thing I would say, Steph has been injured multiple times, and his
Yeah,
durability is in question. Damian Lillard's durability is not in question.
never in question.
But I think that's the only thing that's a big, not only, but it is a big thing. It's not minor. Injuries are plaguing for sports players, but no, they're missing the field general on the basketball court, LeBron James. He opens up a lot of avenues and directions for them to go into. Without that, they're back at square one with the young bucks and like 3 old guys, young bucks and like 3 old guys.
Yeah.
It's back to square one without him.
Yeah, and they had the crunch time collapse against the Kings, and there was, I think, the test case with the Lakers when the season started off with LeBron was who can fit well with him, who can play well with him, and at first, like out of the gate, it was Kuzma. Like we saw Kuzma still able to coexist with LeBron, and then Lonzo as a really good playmaker and passer, but Brandon Ingram was the one to struggle with the most. Do you think, like, during the stretch, maybe the front office is going to be looking at, okay, like who do we trust, or like who are we seeing that's going to step up when he's out, and maybe like that's the something that goes into their foresight of this summer in terms of who they're trading and who they're keeping in terms of, okay, this player, we know he can stay afloat even without LeBron when he's there.
I will have to probably say Brandon Ingram.
Yeah.
Just giving his trade value is still up. He's still a valuable piece to any organization. And I think the chemistry is off, but I would think they will wait another year or two because there's a lot of players. Caldwell Pope's contract is up. McGee, Chandler, Stevenson, all those guys' contracts are up. I don't think they will risk losing Brandon Ingram just yet, but I think his value is bigger than Kuzma, is bigger than Lonzo. His trade value in offseason value is tremendous. I think that's a valuable piece they might use in a trade to get somebody else. But Brandon Ingram is definitely on the trade block, not just because of the chemistry, just because how valuable he is as a player.
Yeah, I would agree. Transitioning to James Harden and the Rockets, they started the season off 11-14 and were 14th in the West in mid-December, and now they've won 9 of their last 10. And he's pretty much played like a man possessed. He had 9 3-pointers against Boston on Thursday night. At the beginning of the year, he was averaging 28 and 9 and 9 assists, and the results weren't there. But now he's averaging 39 points, shooting 40% from 3 and 44% overall, and he's got the 6th most consecutive 35-point games in the last 20 seasons. And it's one of those things where he's revived the Rockets and also put them back in a position as a top-tier team in the West in terms of making another deep run for the playoffs. Because the thing I've seen is it's not only him, but Eric Gordon has stepped up. Clint Capella had, I think, 2 games, back-to-back 23 rebound type games, and the only Rocket to do that since Charles Barkley. And so that production's been there. Then you got another ball handler in Austin Rivers, who's been pretty good. And so there's been upside in terms of not only Harden, to me, who's been just out of this world, otherworldly, but also the other contributors stepping up. So what have you seen from his run and him saying that he feels like he can be back in the MVP race, which these last 9 games definitely back that up?
Well, to be honest, we've seen this before. We've seen
exactly.
this the past 3 to 4 seasons, probably even before that when he was on the Oklahoma OKC. We have a guy who's always phenomenal in the regular season. He plays lights out. He's an ISO magnet. He's a guy who can create space. He's a guy who's efficient enough at the 3-point line and efficient enough traveling back from Mars. I got a little poetic right there. But we have a guy similar to LeBron James where he sees what type of player he has to be on his basketball team, and they needed a spark, and he had to step up, and that's why he gets paid the big buck. That's why he's allowed to do ISO 95% of the time, because he is the jewel. He's the gem. But that's what he has to do. I mean, a lot of people say, oh, it's amazing, but this is what he has to do to be successful. This is what they have to do for the Houston Rockets to be successful, because they don't have an offense. He is the offense. Chris Paul is out. Eric Gordon is stepping up. I like Eric Gordon. If they shoot well, then they'll be successful. I know that's absurd, but that's their MO. If they're consistent.
But that's their MO. It's threes and getting layups. Like that's their MO, and they love that.
And sometimes a 1-2 game, pick and roll here and there, alley-hoop to Capella, play decent defense, get back, let's go to a shootout. That's their MO. But the first couple, the first 11, 15 games, they were able to do that because some pieces have left. Trevor Ariza used to pick up the slack a lot. Eric Gordon was more efficient at the three-point line. He's getting back to that point. But James Harden has to score 40 points for them to be successful every night. He has to, unless the role players start playing like role players and start making some baskets.
Yeah, and with Harden, like, do you think we have a lot of like talented offensive players and diverse offensive players in the league.
Yeah.
Would you put him up there as the most dynamic offensive player in the league right now?
Almost definitely. Off pure talent, he's a real smart guy. Mm-hmm. Believe it or not. He knows the floor, he knows his shots, he knows his abilities, he knows where to get the defender off to shoot his shot. Like, it's extremely strategic and it's super smart by him. Sometimes he makes it, but most of the time, look, the guy is prolific. I'm not going to he doesn't play defense, but he's super smart. He's definitely top 5 finisher at the rim, top 5 3-point shooter, and top 5 in the NBA to me, hands down. And that's 3 categories. That's no small feat. If he can play defense, he will be in the talk for, one to be in the greats. But he doesn't play defense. He doesn't run offense. Now he has great eyes. He is a facilitator. That's like the back burner of his game. People don't pay attention to that because he has like 7 to 8 dimes every game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But yeah, he's definitely top 5 right now. Probably in the 3 or 4.
Yeah, I would agree. But before we move to college football, we were going to talk about some of the Christmas Day games, but one team that was how their game, turned out on Christmas was interesting, and it was the Sixers. And they almost were able to pull off a win on the road, but Kyrie had a phenomenal 40-point, 10 rebounds performance. And Joel Embiid talked about how he felt like he wasn't getting enough touches down the stretch, and the offense just kind of became one-dimensional, and Butler had a really good two-way performance. But with Philly, what do you think? How have you seen the big three kind of adjust to each other, and maybe in the postseason, like, how do you see like their offense kind of in crunch time playing out? Because that's kind of been the biggest concern. Like, how do they use Embiid, sufficiently enough?
See, now it's to a point where it's a negative effect, because last year when they gave Embiid the ball most in the post, they kind of, went down. Their efficiency went down. Now they're not giving Embiid the ball enough. Now Embiid thinks they're not moving in the right direction. I think Embiid has to adapt to the game. He has to. The post game is not there anymore. Let's be honest. The post game, it's not a post game. Yeah, get to the 3-point line, spread it out, run a 2 game a little bit, but you have to adapt. They're not giving you the ball because that's not the basketball game anymore.
Yeah.
So I think he has to change and adapt. Just like I always say, Chris Bosh had to adapt to LeBron James and Dwayne Wade's type of play. Chris Bosh used to be the guy. Yeah.
He was like the originator of the stretch 5.
Yes. So he had to change. He had to become a different ball player. I don't think Joel Embiid is in his career where he wants to do that or he's capable of doing that just yet. But it's still a chemistry thing. It's still a chemistry thing, trying to figure out what type of, how they flow together. But I like Ben Simmons, or what they call the headband brothers now or something like that. And I thought that was cute. But they have to get to a point where, Joel Embiid has to get to a point where he figures out where he fits into the offense. And I think that will take some time and some ego checking.
Whenever I hear headband brothers, I just think of Will Ferrell. Will Ferrell for some reason.
Wow. Now the image going to be in my head all day. You're going to touch my Gibson. Okay.
Exactly.
I think Joel Embiid just has to realize, he just has to adapt to the moving direction they're moving into. Yeah. But I think it can work. I mean, don't go away from the post.
It definitely can work.
Yeah, I think so. I think he doesn't rock with not feeding because he loves the post. That's where he loves the post.
That's his bread and butter.
Yeah, but you can shoot the 3-point ball. You've proven me that last year. Remember, I was like, he's not the guy. Yeah, he's not that guy who can do that. But I've seen you do it multiple times. Just do that. Just do that.
Yeah.
Don't be soft as Karl Anthony Towns. Don't do that. But just be you with some more flavor. I don't like him at all. I don't like him as a player.
Karl Anthony Towns?
Yeah, he's too soft.
Yeah, you're not very high on Karl Anthony Towns. The approval rating for Karl Anthony Towns diminishes by the minute with you.
Yes, just because of the playoffs alone.
Mm-hmm. The series when Capella just completely neutralized him. That's not what the Timberwolves were envisioning when he was that type of pick.
Yeah, no, I don't think so.
Transitioning to college football, the Clemson had a completely dominant performance against Notre Dame in the Cotton Bowl, winning 30-3, and Trevor Lawrence 27 of 39 for 327 yards and 3 touchdowns, and he became the second player to throw for at least 300 yards with 3 scores in a playoff game, and so it's. What we saw was pretty much that, Notre Dame was not able to get the run game going. Book looked really antsy in the pocket a lot of times, but with that defensive front, you would expect that they would generate that amount of pressure even without All-American Dexter Lawrence. But with how Clemson just really dominated on both sides of the ball and had a complete performance, and I think the Book fumble kind of started that going when Notre Dame had a bit of some momentum in one of their first 2 drives. But what were your thoughts on their dominant performance?
I thought Clemson really didn't do much to win. Mm-hmm. Their talent was better.
It was one of those games where the talent just overpowered.
Yeah, talent was better. They were faster. They had a more poised quarterback, and their run game was working. They just stick to what they knew, because at first Notre Dame it was 9-3 for the first 2 quarters. They stuck with them, and then after that, a couple guys got hurt in the secondary, and Trevor Lawrence went absolutely off. He's going to be a good quarterback.
Wow. Really? Yeah, Trevor Lawrence praise. Wow.
No, I gave him praise before. I just felt like he was still young. Yeah. Now that young tag is going to fall off after the national championship. Now he's going to be a seasoned quarterback. He has a whole year. He only shared time for the first 2 games, and after that, he got the starting position. So now you have an entire season, successful season now. He's going to the playoffs. He's in the playoffs, now he's going to the national championship against a powerhouse. Mm-hmm. Now, there's 3 different quarterbacks Alabama is going to be facing. No. 2, because Deshaun Watson, I thought Kelly Bryant didn't make it. He lost in the playoffs.
Kelly Bryant to me was not a game changer, and that's what I think they wanted at the helm, which is kind of pretty much what you need. Like Watson put up 404 you know, 4 touchdowns in the first outing, and then the second outing, you know, was able to pull off the win.
Right. And I do agree with that. Kelly, his throwing ability was the negative effect on him. And what did he have a big arm? He didn't look good in the pocket. He was a dual threat quarterback. There's a lot of knock against him. And I think him going into a different system will help him out. But Trevor Lawrence was bred for this. He looked poised. He stepped up in the pocket. He read through progressions. He found the mismatch. Hats off to Dabo and Sweeney. They knew that one of their safeties got hurt. Cornerbacks got hurt. They went after that freshman. Yeah. They attacked it. That's what you do. They were hungry. They smelled blood in the water. That's what Clemson does. They didn't do much. They didn't need to do much, but they stuck to the guns. Trevor Lawrence led them. Defense played phenomenal football. 33. Now you face Alabama once again.
Yeah, it's here we are again. This is becoming. This pretty much has become the greatest rivalry in the sport. I would think, right?
It has to be. It has to be. 2 national championships, 1-1, tiebreaker.
Yeah.
Oh, I can just see the headlines now. Like it's going to be a great ball game.
In California, in Santa Clara, California. I mean,
freshman quarterbacks going at each other. Sheesh.
This is going to be a future 30 for 30, right? We already know it. This is going to be a future 30 for 30.
I don't know if Lawrence is going to be able to play though. I think he failed the drug test.
Yeah,
a couple other players. He's not going to be able to play.
Yeah, he's not.
I don't think it will be a big deal.
Yeah, how much of a deal do you think that is without Lawrence in this game?
I think they can still get pressure. I know Alabama only gives up 1 sack a game, but they have hurries. Tua has been hit. We've seen that multiple times. He's been hit. He hasn't been sacked because he gets the ball out really fast. His reaction time is super fast, but they can get to him. This is one of the best defensive linemen for the past 3 years. Their MO has been, we're going to throw the ball, we're going to run the ball down your throat, and our defensive line is going to create havoc for our secondary to make it easy on them.
And their defensive
for the past few years.
And their defensive line kept them in that semifinal last year. You know, it really did. Even though it was 24-6, the turnovers by Clemson, that was what really just made that game a blowout. But the defensive line, if you watch that game, the defensive line kept them throughout that entire game. But with the Alabama-Oklahoma game, you know, Tua had almost a picture-perfect performance, 24 of 27 for 318 yards, 4 touchdowns, and no picks. And, you know, looked a lot better after the high ankle sprain. And it was interesting because after the game, he said like he felt okay. But when you look at his performance, it looked like he was just back to normal. But obviously there are some still lingering issues. And Oklahoma was after 28-0, like Murray really showed a lot of heart after that. CeeDee Lamb was impressive. I mean, at one point it felt like it was just he was going to CeeDee Lamb like 3 straight possessions, and you know they were able to kind of make a bit of a rally. But was this kind of what we expected though? Because it's like you felt as though if Oklahoma could score enough, they may have a chance. But like Alabama, it really felt like they just shell shocked them after that 28-0 just start, and then Oklahoma, even with the number 1 offense in the country, was too much to overcome.
I think so. It was an interesting statistic about Kyler Murray. If he doesn't throw to Lamb, and after you read through his progressions, he's 23%.
Yeah.
Completion ratio or something, 23 or 32. I might be dyslexic. But I thought that was an interesting statistic, and it showed. If he doesn't have his number 1 receiver open, that's when he looks, he tries to run, he tries to find somebody else. Sometimes that pans out well, sometimes it doesn't. But I think their defense is their Achilles heel. I don't think it is their Achilles heel. When Navy runs up and down, I think it was Army. Army. When Army runs up and down the field and holds you to 30 points, your defense is a problem. Your defense is a problem. We knew
like a 92nd ranked defense problem.
Yes, terrible. Not even a. But
how disappointing is that watching as a former player on defense? Like how just like baffling is that to watch?
It's terrible
Yeah.
because it's so. I feel like you do all this recruiting. How cannot you get? I mean, that was terrible English. I got so upset. Like, how is it possible for you not to get any good players on defense? And why are they not matching up well with ACC, SEC, or any other?
Mhm.
I don't get it. But I knew that going into the ball game. You've seen it all year. They had to go in shootouts to be able to win. They did that last year with Baker Mayfield. That's how they lost
They
against
actually had a
Georgia
shot to
last
win
year.
that game. This one, it didn't feel like they had a shot.
I think if the defense would have said, "Hey, you guys need to stop," or gave any kind of indication that we're here, "Hey guys, we're here. You don't have to keep beating up on us." The ball, it would have gave them a chance. But they weren't moving. They weren't moving. I would say that they were moving the ball, but they weren't finishing drives. And then when you have two on the other side, you have all those weapons. That's a hard task on any defense. But that defense didn't show up. 28-0, 14-0 in the first quarter. Where were
Yeah.
you guys? On the bus back in Oklahoma? Like I didn't.
Back in
We
Tulsa.
Yeah, back in Tulsa. I knew that the defense they weren't going to lose because of the defense, but I thought that Kyler Murray had enough in the tank to go the distance and go to a shootout. But I knew they weren't going to get to Tua. Tua didn't really get touched. Tua was clean. Tua was rolling out and throwing it dimes to
Hmm.
receivers in the end zone. But their
Yeah.
defense is their Achilles heel. They have to fix that.
Yeah, for
I don't know
sure.
how. Well, get some recruits. Go to Florida. Go get some hosses in Florida.
Yeah. Florida looked pretty dominant. You had to have been pretty satisfied with that win.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. We're back, baby. Dan Mullen, bring his ass back. He's a Cadillac brother. No, nah, it was a good win though. Oh man, it was
But
a good win.
how optimistic are you for the next season with
Oh,
Felipe coming back?
not even. He's going to get better,
Hmm.
and I've seen different aspects of his game improve. He needs to trust his players more. He needs to trust his offensive line more. But he's going through progressions. He's still rattled in the pocket. His mobility still in question, but those things they can work on. Dan Mullen only had 1 year with him, but seeing the vast improvement that Dan Mullen had with him, I'm optimistic. Then Jones is going to be good. Then we have other recruits that signed that are different quarterbacks. Then we have Kyle Trask back. So,
Hmm.
and then we have other weapons. Our running game is still going to be there. Scarlett's going to come back. We still have Piron. We still have Malik Davis. It's a lot of guys. And we want to lose in a couple of players on defense. Gardner's leaving. CC Jefferson. Frank is leaving, but we still have so many guys coming back and so many new recruits. I'm optimistic.
Yeah.
I am super optimistic about this team, man. I
Yeah.
think Florida is finally back. We had some mishaps. Should never lost to Kentucky.
Hmm.
We should have lost to Missouri. I don't even know what happened that game.
Yeah, that was a baffling game.
Yeah, but I think we're due fine. I think we'll get back to SEC championship though, but it's still going to be the big
The
dogs
process.
over there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But with this Alabama-Clemson matchup, I mean these two teams have been the standard, over the last 4 years, and Alabama has been the standard a lot longer. But in the nation, but what's like one big matchup or one big factor? Because to me, it's so close to call. These two teams are so even. But like, what's one matchup or factor that you see kind of deciding this game? And is there a team you'd give edge to?
Who could get to the quarterback?
Yeah.
I think when we see Tua get hit and get rattled, he's not at his best. And we know that he's not durable. We've seen him come out multiple games. And then after him is Jalen Hurts. And I don't think I know he's improved. I know. I give him praise. But he's not a four-quarter quarterback.
Oh,
He
that
can
would be
win,
very
though.
concerning for Alabama's chances to win if Hurts has to get
Yes.
in.
But can Alabama get to Trevor Lawrence? Can Clemson get to Tua? And I think Clemson can get to Tua.
Mm-hmm.
I think they can. They had success in previous games. And I think it's going to be the battle in the trenches. We already know both of these guys have great secondaries, great front sevens. They can move the ball. They have many weapons. But can you get to the quarterback? Can you rattle the quarterback? Can you make it easy on your secondary? I think that's the MO. It's two freshman quarterbacks, true freshman quarterbacks at that, going at each other. But can you get to those guys? I think that's going to be the headline for me.
Yeah, and that's kind of been the thing. Like these, Clemson has the best defensive line in the country, and Alabama has also very good defensive line. But it's gonna be in terms of how Lawrence and Tua can deal with the pressure. When Tua is at his best when he's in the pocket, you know, like we saw that we saw that in the Oklahoma game, and he was just so comfortable. But when we saw it in the Georgia game, when they rushed him at an extremely high rate, and he had to evade pressure, it was a struggle for him. And Clemson, I think that's going to be really concerning. Like, can Tua stay in this game healthy? Because even after he was talking about how he didn't feel 100%, I think that's going to be kind of the biggest decider. And I'm just still not sure of who I'd give that to, because, like I said, these two teams to me are just so even.
So even, yeah, I definitely agree, because it's no clear cut. Like the past couple years, these guys head up. I gave the edge to Alabama the first year, and then I gave the edge to Clemson. That's the second year they mashed up together, but just because of Deshaun Watson having another year under his belt and him being a better quarterback and not making as many mistakes. But now, both of these quarterbacks are phenomenal. These guys are super young. They're ahead of the curve. It's kind of hard to give to somebody else. But if we could, before we move on, I want to give it to Trevor.
Really?
I want to give it to Trevor.
Wow.
I think Trevor has a bigger arm. I think he's more accurate than a lot of people give him credit for. And he's more poised in the pocket and out of the pocket. And he takes a hit. I've seen him getting hit multiple times, stand in the pocket and deliver a strike. I like that. I like that in a quarterback. Sacrifice yourself for your basketball, for your football team, for your players, for your friends, for your colleagues. He steps in. He stays in the pocket. I like that. That's guts to me. I would definitely have to give it to Trevor.
Yeah. I mean, that really has shown with Trevor, because it's just, can Tua stay healthy throughout that? We really don't know, because this defensive line is just going to generate so much pressure even without their All-American. So it's going to be really interesting to see how that plays out. With the rest of the New Year's Six bowl games left, Ohio State, Washington is an interesting one with Urban Meyer's last game. LSU, UCF, and UCF trying to make another case for them deserving a spot in the playoff, and them, kind of garnering up that attention. And then, to me, the one I'd go with is Texas, Georgia, because Georgia obviously was extremely motivated in terms of, I feel like they're extremely motivated to show that they should have been in the playoff. And Texas is, having a big bowl game under Tom Herman is going to be really interesting, in these defenses clashing, and then Ellinger getting time to get healthy. But what would you say is the most interesting remaining bowl game?
I'll have to give it to LSU and UCF. I know Texas and Georgia are going to be a good one, just because I want the hype of UCF to go down. I know they're in the state of Florida. I know they beat a SEC team last year, but this is a different SEC team.
Yeah,
LSU is no pushover. They lost to a great team in Alabama. They got shut out, but I don't think UCF, without their starting quarterback, will be enough to beat LSU Tigers. I don't think so, but we'll see. If they beat LSU without their starting quarterback, they have to be in. No, I don't care. They can lose 5 games. They have to be in. If they win without their starting quarterback against the SEC team, top 5 SEC team, then they have to be looked at like, okay, these guys might be for real. But if they lose, I think the hype has to go down. But I like that just because of the hype of UCF.
Yeah, I mean, if they were able to beat LSU, which is like, I mean, they beat Auburn, and I mean that was an impressive win. But this is a different caliber of team that you're going to be dealing with, and I think that would just kind of even build up the talks and kind of validate it a little bit if they're able to pull that off. Transitioning to the NFL, the Chiefs they were able to beat they beat the Raiders 35-3 today and clinch home field advantage in the first seed in the AFC. And Mahomes has 50 touchdowns, one of the top leading candidates for MVP, and they're in a position now where they have this amazing offense, but we saw against Seattle, the Seattle rushing attack, they weren't able to stop that and didn't have success against that. And they're in a position where they're going to score a lot, but can they score enough to make up for a defense that gives up a ton of points and one of the lowest rated defenses in the league? So how do you see with because we've seen against LA, giving up 54, New England, that loss was I think it gave up 43. Their defense is going to give up a lot of points, but how do you see them? How much of a concern is that with their defense and them going forward for their run? Hello?
Sorry. I think it's going to be interesting.
Thought I lost you there.
No, I forgot I had it. Yeah, never mind. But it's going to be interesting because defenses change in the postseason. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to give them that right now because they haven't played a game in the postseason yet. But just given what they've done this year, they've put up points, but when it matters the most, you lose to New England. Then you lose to the Rams. Then you lose to the Chargers, and then you lose to the Seahawks, which all are great teams that can score as well. Is your defense enough? And I don't think their secondary can hold up when it matters the most. Now, their front seven, they do allow a lot of rushing yards, but I think they have enough up front. It's just secondary, which is kind of bizarre because, they have Eric Berry back. They have, they added Lander Scandrick. They have other couple guys, but I think they're still young and they're still not able to stop anybody. I think, and then it's a pressure thing. Mm-hmm. The defensive line, Houston hasn't been, rallying sacks, or the front four hasn't been rallying sacks and putting pressure on the quarterback. So it's kind of hard for your it makes things harder for your secondary to try to hold people for more than 4 to 5 seconds and extending plays, and that goes into effect as well. But they're gonna struggle. It's the best teams now. You lost to a lot of good teams, a lot of great teams. Now it's a lot of more great teams in the playoffs. They didn't make it for no reason. So I'm on the defense, no pun intended, about their defense. Can they hold on? And I want to say defense has changed in the postseason, which is definitely true, but I just don't think I think it's an Oklahoma type thing. The offense is great.
That's what I'm feeling.
And the defense is like, huh?
All right, we'll hang around.
Yeah, you put a lot of money into
Can you put up some more points?
Right. Put a lot of money in your offense. What about your defense? But they have to step up somehow, some way. But, defense do change in the postseason.
Yeah, and we're about to get to the NFC, with the Saints, but it doesn't feel like this is a year. It feels like this is kind of like a wide open year in the AFC in terms of the playoff race, because it doesn't seem like there's a clear cut, like, okay, this is the favorite, because Kansas City's defense is such a liability. Like, that's a concern. In New England, you can never count them out. And, the Ravens, they're in, and they look like they can be a dangerous team. But is there any one team that you're like, okay, I feel like they can make a Super Bowl run in the AFC? So tough.
It is, because I think the teams are spread out now. You have the Chargers being more successful. I want to give it to the Chargers, but then it is extremely tough. I want to say Baltimore. Baltimore is playing good defense and and then the Colts are coming out of nowhere. And then the Texans went on a great run. Their defense look good. Deshaun Watson is connected with DeAndre Hopkins like it's no one's business. I don't think it's a clear cut AFC team. Normally it always used to be who? The Patriots.
Yeah.
That was going to be the Patriots. It's not even the Patriots.
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't give you a clear-cut answer. I am sorry, Wellington.
That is,
I can't.
and I can't give you one either. I really can't. I'm not like sure of who's gonna make a run here. I really do like Kansas City. I just think at some point the defense is going to be a huge issue in terms of them giving up too many points. But hey, I'll go with it. I'll say Kansas City. I'll say that they can score enough and they've got home field, and I'll give them like the slightest of edges. Even though if they're in the AFC Championship against the Patriots, I don't feel great about that bet.
Well, I wouldn't, 5,000 yards, 50 touchdowns this year. I wouldn't go against that either, man. I wouldn't go against that either. It's not even him. It's just the defense.
Yeah, it's the defense.
They could put up enough points to make it interesting, make it more than interesting, make it a game.
Yeah.
But I'm afraid when they get down the stretch, I think all the teams that's in the wild card can give them a run for the money. Even Baltimore with Lamar Jackson, coming in and out of the game, he was kind of.
They can make a run. They can make a run.
They can. They look.
That's
good.
Not a team you want to see in the postseason.
They're looking good. I like the Texans too. The Texans that showed me J.J. Watt's back, adding Tyrann Mathieu, John Watson is playing. Nobody can hold DeAndre Hopkins. He doesn't have a drop this season.
Goodness.
He doesn't have a drop this season, and he's not even some still not consider him the top 5 wide receiver.
That's laughable.
That's insane. He's definitely top 5.
Yeah. Maybe even top 3.
Yes.
There are so many good ones.
Yeah, it does. I would have to move him in front of OBJ just because of durability.
Yeah, health, yeah. Transitioning to the NFC in New Orleans, they were able to clinch the 1 seed last week, and check me if I'm wrong, but I think under the Breeze and Peyton era, they've never lost the Super Bowl in the postseason. Is that right?
I believe so.
Yeah, and they're extremely just. I mean, they always have a high potent offense, but it's even accelerated there. There are some dark horses. I mean, the Bears with that great defense, but I'm just not sold on Trubisky. You apparently are, but and then you've got the Eagles are now in, and they can make a run, but they got to go against the Bears, and Nick Foles has looked great at, just like as he did the second half of the season. But
can he do it again?
I'm wondering. Is it gonna happen again? Greatest of all time.
Wait. If he does it again, Carson Wentz getting traded.
Yeah. Back-to-back Super Bowl.
Yo, I didn't think they were gonna make it. I
didn't think so either. I thought Minnesota was going to make it. That was your team. I think you said that you felt like it could be a dark horse in the NFC, and they're not able to make it. But do you think – I really have a hard time thinking that any team can beat New Orleans at home. I mean, it's possible. I don't really see it happening. But what do you think about any team's chances of beating them at home, and also like a dark horse?
I think the Seahawks can beat them at home.
Yeah.
They have
Russell Wilson.
Yeah, Russell, man. Just Doug
that
Baldwin
performance last Sunday night. Wow.
Yes. Just defense are playing good. Like they're playing like stupidly good. And the offense is so efficient. Like Russell Wilson is dropping dimes. Like his air is oh my gosh. It's just flawless. It's just
football at its finest.
Yes. And I love it because he does everything right at the quarterback position. And at first, a lot of people thought Seahawks wouldn't even make it to the playoffs because they started out, they sputted a little bit.
Can Russell Wilson have like any errors? Can he have like any media blunders? He just has to say everything like he says the right thing almost every time. It's just
every single
Russell
time.
Wilson is just buttoned up, a professional all the time.
Even when he's angry, and that's rare. Him and Andrew Luck are like the nicest, happiest guys on the football field. I'm like, can you get mad just one time? Let me see you get mad. Like, I know you still won't get irate or anything. But
exactly.
I think it would be like, okay, guys, I am tired of this biscuit. Like, you
tired
guys
of the rubbish.
Yeah, rubbish. Like I know it'd be like super funny. I wouldn't take him serious. But him and Andrew Luck are like the nicest guys. They really can't do anything wrong on or off the football
Yeah.
field. But Russell Wilson, I think they can do it. I think a dual threat quarterback will give them fits at home. I really do. But like I'm looking at other teams. Well, they already beat the Rams, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
45-35.
they already beat the Rams. They definitely can beat the Chicago Bears, even with their defense.
Remember
They
when we
can beat.
thought the Rams were gonna like go undefeated?
They look like it. They look like it.
How the season has
Green Bay
changed.
should have beat them.
Yeah.
Oh my God! Don't get me started. Freaking Ty
Sore spot to bring
Montgomery.
up.
Ty Montgomery. You just ugh. And he got traded the next day.
Yeah. I mean that
irony.
Aaron Rodgers was like, "Can I get a chance? Like just one chance.
Give
That would
me
be
a
nice."
chance. That'd be fine. We got enough time on the clock. We get moved down. All we need is a field goal. But we do that. But no, I think if anybody could beat them at home, it would definitely be the Seattle Seahawks.
Yeah, I would definitely agree so too, because when you have a dual threat QB like Wilson, do you think Seattle is going to get past Dallas?
Yes,
You think so? Yeah,
with ease.
I think so.
With ease.
So you're not buying. Well, this is the thing. Like to me, the quarterback play is huge in the postseason, and
Yes.
I don't think Dak is at the rate of what Russell Wilson is doing right now.
No, not even close. Even with their run game, Zeke doing everything he can, Amari Cooper adding that finesse to their offense, it still relies on Dak Prescott. And I think Dak, under pressure, is not as poised or not be as poised as Tom Brady, as Aaron Rodgers, or even Russell Wilson, for that matter. He will not be poised in that pocket. We see him be rattled early and often. If they rattle Zeke, and I think they can rattle Zeke in the run game, not the pass game, because they have one of the best screen games in the league. They score on the screen pass like every time, or they get like 30, 40 yards every single time. They have the best screen game in the league. But they rattle Zeke, and they rely on Dak Prescott alone. Dak misses a lot of throws. I don't know if he reads through his progressions or he's not looking. I've seen multiple games where he misses wide open wide receivers down the lane and drops it off to the running back. Like I don't think he's confident enough in his throwing ability because he doesn't go down deep. Well, now he does because he has Amari Cooper, but before that, he is rarely his percentage down deep is like 30%, 32, 33% completion rate. He doesn't go down the field as much. He's more a medium range type quarterback. So if it gets to that point, can he do it? I don't think he can. I think the Seahawks move past him with haste.
Yeah, and before we move on, if Philly beats Chicago, we're gonna do an emergency podcast right after, and we're gonna can this happen again?
Wellington, how you just said that was like, okay, it's we have an emergency podcast.
If that happens, we're both concerned, and I would be extremely concerned as well.
Oh, can he do it again? Oh my God!
I'm leaning toward Chicago, but you never know with Nick Foles. You never know.
You never know. And oh my gosh, everybody's healthy too. Well,
Yes.
not everybody. The wide receiving core is healthy. Aguilar, Alshon Jeffrey. Oh,
they're deep.
Gosh.
They're still a deep team. Still a very deep team.
Even with it, they have Darren Sproles back. Oh my gosh.
Goodness. This is what he's been waiting for. This is what he's been waiting for.
He's retiring after this year. You guys, your body has been broken. Literally broken.
Yeah.
You got to get him out of here. You got to go. You already won a Super Bowl. You finally won a Super Bowl. Didn't win it with the Chargers. Now you won with Philly. If you win another one, you better get out while you can because your head's going to be off your shoulders.
But before we as we wrap up, we did this last year. We're doing the most interesting moment or game in sports this year. I don't know if you forgot. Maybe you forgot. Did you forget?
No.
It's,
It's so many.
But I'm going to start it off just to give you time.
Okay.
I'm going to go with Loyola Chicago and them being
what?
Loyola Chicago.
Okay.
Them being them being an 11 seed and making a run to the Final Four was, we see it happen a lot, but this one was just, it seemed like out of nowhere. It seemed unprecedented. And even though I felt like they didn't have enough to get past Michigan, it was just one of those runs that kind of encapsulated what the entire tournament is about. Anything can happen, win or go home. And it just, really signified just how great March Madness is and how runs can happen. It really was a great story.
What was her name? I can't forget her. I forgot her name. But yeah, they went on a run. Yeah, that was a great moment.
Yeah.
It's so many. I almost said LeBron going to the Lakers, but I'm going to give it to Tua winning it for Alabama.
Yeah.
That was an incredible moment. First play, you get sacked. And then
second and 24.
You throw a dime out of cover 2, looking off the safety.
Goodness.
Have it wide open. Boom. Perfect throw, not overthrown, not underthrown. Just a perfect throw. Dime piece. Don't have you a day, son. Go back to Alabama. Go back to Hawaii. Hi. Okay, that was the I'm sorry. I apologize. That's not even the right.
It's not even the right. Yeah. That was just.
Hold up. Wait. I apologize. I'm sorry, guys. I had a bonehead moment. I don't even know where that came from.
We're going to have a Fires for More. Full Scope is under fire for the award.
He made a sound that wasn't from
This
us.
rhetoric was just very insensitive. Goodness.
That's a bonehead moment.
These two rascals. but yeah, that entire just possession and him doing that was really amazing. And the roles reversed. We even went through it, like how Jalen was struggling, and he really did give them that spark, and that was a really amazing moment. Any other ones that you wanted to pick but just decided to pick the one you did over?
Well, I did say
LeBron's Lakers. Yeah, that was huge.
That was super huge because I didn't think he was going to go.
Mm-hmm.
I thought he was going to stay with Cavaliers, and then I wanted him to stay to Cavaliers just for his legacy. But then I realized he already made his legacy. He's just trying to grow his legacy after basketball, and I think he wants to be a general manager someday. And I think that was the best move for him to get plugged in, especially with Magic Johnson. But I thought that was one of the highlight moments. No. Highlight moment. J.R. Smith taking the ball back like it's 21 to clear the ball.
We've got it, guys. We won game 1. It's secured. I thought we were up.
And then LeBron James sitting on the bench for like 30 seconds, like, hold up, do we have any timeouts? He was like, what? We had a timeout? Oh, he threw a death trap.
I'm gone to LA now. I'm going.
His whole mind, the whole series, like, I can't wait to get to LA. I can't wait to get Rodeo.
If you didn't know then, you knew now.
Yes.
It was one of those moments like you knew now. He's gone. If
there was any moment that made him make a decision.
Exactly.
It was that moment. Talk about game changer, changing a momentum.
He's like he's like to his team, like his business team. Look, I need something just to convince me to go to LA. Game 1, right there. Boom.
Yeah, game 1. And it wasn't like he didn't wait till like game 5 to make a follow. It was literally game 1 when they had the win.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
And LeBron had like 51 in that game, right? LeBron had 51 in that game.
Oh, he went off. He went
51, 8, and 8. Oh my goodness. Okay.
He had
wasted performance. Oh, goodness.
Wasted performance.
No, not a wasted performance by LeBron, but by J.R. Smith. It's like this guy has 51, 8, and 8, one of the greatest players of all time. I'm just gonna dribble out the clock. Wow.
And they lost in overtime.
And is J.R. Smith playing in the league right now?
No, he's
right.
He's practicing.
Good night, folks.
That's a
tale. That's a tale to all young boys and girls out there. Don't dribble out the clock when your team has 51, 8, and 8. Just don't do it.
Be smart and aware. Have basketball IQ. Look at the board. is up there. It's huge. It's not like you got to squint to look. Like it's like that's crazy. But that was a
Yeah,
big moment though. So definitely big.
definitely. Well, that wraps it up for tonight. I'm your host, Wellington Burns. Welcome my counterpart, Savon Morris. This has been Full Scope. See you later.